Welcome back, everyone. If you were alive in 2022, then I'm sure you have heard of Andrew Tate.
Hurrah!
Whether you like him or not. Now, speaking of which, whether you love him or hate him, you definitely know who he is, which means there is a lot you can learn from his business and his marketing. Now, before we jump into his 15 marketing secrets that blew him up so quickly, be sure to like and subscribe, of course. But in any case, let's go ahead and jump right in to the 15 marketing secrets that Andrew Tate used to blow him up so quickly. Now, the first Andrew Tate success factor is having conviction in everything that you say. Now, I've touched on this before when it comes to Donald Trump and other people, but the point is that whether you want to admit it or not, human psychology, or just people, the masses, we naturally gravitate to people who have confidence and full conviction in what they say. Now, for example, if I tell you, hey, did you know that the Washington Wizards won the NBA championship 2 years ago? You might say, I don't think that's true. But if I tell you, I will bet you $100,000 that happened 2 years ago, you might say, oh, well, the fact that he's so confident, maybe I shouldn't make this bet. That's exactly the point. That human psychology, all of us, myself included, we can't help but, I don't want to say have faith, but we can't help but trust people who have full conviction and trust and confidence in what they say. The next Andrew Tate success factor is utilizing controversy. Now, you may have heard this term before, which is that the attention economy is where we are living today, which is that gathering attention is the most valuable resource that any marketers or business can acquire or accumulate today. Now, again, for better or worse, being controversial or going against the grain or saying something different than what everybody else is saying just so happens to be one of the best ways to pretty much get publicity, get free marketing, and to get your message out there. Now, this goes back to that old idea that any attention is good attention, or any publicity is good publicity.
All publicity is good publicity.
Now, that isn't always the case, as Kanye West might be able to tell you, but in today's modern age, for one reason or another, that actually is the case in a lot of cases, that if you say something that is against the grain, that a lot of people disagree with, that just so happens to be extremely useful to get your message out there and to reach the masses. The next Andrew Tate success factor is utilizing entertainment. Now, I've mentioned before that the main three niches, let's say, are health, wealth, and relationships. If you want to start a business, you usually have to be involved in one of those three primary markets or giganto niches. But a lot of people ignore that entertainment is actually the fourth big or huge niche. So anyway, the point here is that if you can be entertaining, and Andrew Tate just so happens to include humor and other stuff like that into his content, but the point is that if you can be entertaining, you can please people's eyeballs, their ears, and so forth. Keep in mind that whether you are delivering great content or terrible content, that being entertaining, actually keeping people engaged, like I'm doing with my hands and with my vocal inflections right now, as opposed to my old YouTube videos where I talk like this. You get the point here that being entertaining can play a huge role as well. The next Andrew Tate success factor is being eloquent and well-spoken. Now, he talks about this a decent amount, which is to increase your skills in public speaking and so forth. So, in other words, you won't hear him say, I think, I feel that, would make me feel better, stuff like that, because this kind of goes back to the conviction point that we mentioned earlier, is that being eloquent, being well-spoken, having confidence, not saying having full conviction in what you are saying plays a huge role in people trusting you and even in people liking you. This kind of also touches on the idea of professionalism, or of being a pro versus other. Now, I believe it was Stephen Pressfield that says, everybody loves a professional and everybody hates an amateur. So this kind of repeats the point that I've already been saying, which is that if you are a pro at anything, then everybody tends to like you much more than if you are an amateur at anything. The next Andrew Tate success factor is going back to basics. Now, we've already talked about how a lot of the things that he says are somewhat controversial to some people, and hey, whatever. But within all of those messages, Tate tends to mix in points that are extremely difficult to disagree with. So if he says 1 + 1 = 3, he will mix that in with, but you should work out and being healthy is great. So you're saying, oh, well, I can't disagree with half of that, so I guess I'll just go with all of it. So there's a lot of indisputable points that he mixes in, such as you should respect your family, you should be healthy and relatively fit, you should pursue financial literacy and wealth, and things like that, which pretty much nobody can disagree with. So when he mixes these points into his more controversial points, let's say, you pretty much, it's like taking vitamins. It's like you pretty much say, all right, well, I guess that's right, so I'll take the rest of it. The next Andrew Tate success factor is focusing on digital products. Now, you may have heard that he is focused on investing in casinos and real estate and other stuff like that, which is totally fine. But the offers or products that you are probably more familiar with are his digital products, which are his real-world monthly subscription coaching program, and his networking offers, which are both digital offers. So the point here is that if I am selling green aluminum water bottles, then that has manufacturers, that has hard costs, that has factories, that has just a bunch of fixed costs that are fine in some situations, but which cost more than other types of offers. Now, on the other hand, digital offers such as masterminds, courses, networks, stuff like that, which are some of the main offers that you are probably familiar with when it comes to Tate, just so happen to be much more profitable and much more scalable. The next Andrew Tate success factor is similar, which is focusing on recurring revenue. Now, this pretty much means instead of charging somebody $10, $100, $1,000, or whatever much money up front, you are focused on a subscription model, a membership model. In other words, monthly, annual, or whatever it might be. Now, whether you sell a $1 product or a $1,000 or $10,000 product, which I usually suggest the high ticket, but in any case, the point is that you're actually most often better served by focusing on a recurring revenue, monthly, annual, or whatever it might be, subscription model, as opposed to a one-off price model. The next Andrew Tate success factor is focusing on OPA, in other words, other people's audiences. Now, I have talked about this a ton before, but the point is that whether you have a brand new microphone business, coaching business, agency business, water bottle business, whatever it might be, the point is that somebody else has already gathered an audience that is interested in that topic. On top of that, instead of building your own business 1 by 1 or 5 by 5 or 10 by 10 or whatever it might be, it can actually be pretty manageable or pretty affordable to just buy access to that person's audience, and then you can grow exponentially or just faster than you would have on your own. Now, back to OPA here, is that the first time you heard about Andrew Tate was probably on somebody else's podcast, YouTube channel, or whatever it might be. So you see here that he is utilizing other people's audiences, whether that be their Facebook group, their YouTube channel, their podcast, their Discord server, their Reddit channel, or whatever it might be. The next Andrew Tate success factor is affiliate marketing. Now, this is absolutely not to be confused with MLM or multi-level marketing. Now, pretty much 90% of every business that you interact with today utilizes affiliate marketing. That could be your gym. That could be the software you use. That could be the website builder you use. That could be the lighting system, the TV, all of these things that I'm surrounded by. I'm sure that all of these businesses offer affiliate marketing programs. So anyway, the point here is that if I sell black microphones or green aluminum water bottles or coaching or agency services or whatever it might be, is that if you keep bringing me people that are interested in, or customers or clients that actually buy that thing, then I will give you a cut, which is pretty much as logical as can be. The next Andrew Tate success factor is storytelling. Now, this is another topic that I've talked about a lot before, but the point here is that the human brain, or psychology, or however you want to look at it, is that stories are the language of the human brain. So if I tell you, oh, this green water bottle is great and you should buy it, you might say, oh, okay, yeah, whatever, okay, cool. But if I tell you, you know, before I bought this bottle, my life was terrible and I couldn't keep my water cold or hot. But when I bought this water bottle, it changed my life. It was able to keep my cold water cold, which was able to improve my stamina and sports, blah, blah, blah. And when it came to the heat in the winter, it was able to keep my coffee and tea hot, which was able to change my blah, blah, blah. Now, I know that was a little bit extreme, but you get the point here that when somebody tells you, hey, I was in a similar position to you, and then I did XYZ, and now my life is great. Well, that actually works a billion times better to convince you, as so it should, to be fair, like there's nothing wrong with that, that's fine. But if I tell you a story to make you believe or to persuade you into XYZ, that will work a billion times better. The next Andrew Tate success factor is focusing on a single market. Now, I've touched on this earlier, which is that pretty much every business on earth tends to be too over-focused on focusing on everyone. In other words, oh, but I can help everybody. Oh, but everybody could benefit from what I sell. Oh, but why should I niche down when I can help everyone? Well, the short story here is that whether you like it or not, when it comes to business, focusing on a specific, extremely identified target market, at least at first, tends to work a billion times better than focusing on everyone. So in other words, no matter who you're targeting, you will probably be a million times better served by focusing on a specific, exclusive market and only them, not trying to capture the biggest market and to get everybody interested in what you're saying, but you'd be much served by focusing on your specific best served market and telling them exactly what they want to hear. The next Andrew Tate success factor is by focusing on and building a community. Now, there are a lot of ways to do this, but the first step here is just to keep in mind that it is a natural human psychological factor or need to belong, to be a part of a community, and to be an insider as opposed to an outsider. Now, just a few ways that Andrew Tate does this. Number one is by neologizing. In other words, by creating words that only the insiders would understand, such as brokies, or I don't know, I'm sure there's other words that are more insider language.
Hurrah!
But on top of that, he identifies and attacks a common enemy, whether that be the Matrix or the university system or the government. Anyway, I don't mean to get too political here, but the point here is that no matter what type of cult or community or type of group you are trying to accumulate, one of the best ways to do that is by identifying a common enemy and attacking them. The next Andrew Tate success factor is by utilizing personal branding. In other words, by attaching somebody's face and or name to the actual product or offer. Now, to be double fair, there are a lot of negatives that come along with personal branding. Like if I say, hey, I am Alan Marketing, I have Alan microphones, I sell Alan water bottles, then it will be much more difficult for me to sell that business and a lot of other factors that I won't get into here. But obviously, on the other hand here is there are a lot of benefits, which means, hey, you trust me more, you relate to me more, you empathize with my points more, and stuff like that. The next Tate success factor is having actual business and marketing knowledge. Now, you might be familiar with CoffeeZilla, who is one of the biggest haters on YouTube of everybody who is more successful than him. Now, I'm not here to pick on him necessarily, because broke losers are always going to want somebody to tell them that they are great and that successful people are bad. But you get the point here that particularly if somebody is relatively young and doesn't know much about marketing and business, that a lot of these tips and advice and knowledge can actually be useful. The next Tate success factor is flat out lifestyle marketing. Now, this is kind of the biggest oldie but goodie, which pretty much means that if you show people your money, your cars, your mansions, your whatever it might be, then people will generally gravitate to what you're saying. Now, again, I know broke losers don't like this type of marketing, but if you really are flying on jets all the time, if you really are in mansions all the time, or whatever it might be, then of course that will just so happen to be where most of your messaging and videos and so forth comes from. And probably the number one success factor when it comes to Andrew Tate's marketing is to hit the like button and subscribe below. If you learned something interesting today, it does help a lot. For more help with your sales and marketing, or with creating or selling your product and offer, or with getting clients, of course, grab my Fill Your Funnel workbook in the links below, or you can find other ways to work with me there as well. Well, that wraps us up for today. Of course, remember to subscribe below, and I'll see you on the next one.